Est-ce que tout le monde a des traductions? C'est bien? En français? En español tenemos traducción. Sí. The German, we have translation. Dutch. Okay. We'll speak in English this morning. I don't know if Taifapkai is anywhere around. Can we use the Sangha eyes to find Brother Fapkai? We're not sure if our brother knows he's on the Q&A panel. Can we invite Brother Fabio to come up? In the Buddhist tradition, if you ask 3 times, then you can no longer say no. Should I ask another time? Please, Brother Fabio, come support. Thank you. Wow, that is real Sangha spirit. So we'll begin the Q&A session with 3 sounds of the bell. So can everybody sit beautifully like a Buddha? Relax your shoulders. Come back to your breathing. We just allow the sound of the bell to penetrate deeply in every cell of our body. Brother Agapano is the bell master today, so we can enjoy his sending his heart along with the sound of the bell. So good morning, dear Thai, dear community. So welcome to our question and answer session of the second week of the summer opening retreat. So this is a chance for us to ask the question that comes from our heart, something to do with our practice. When we come up here and sit on the chair, we can listen to a sound of the bell, and then whatever question we've been asking ourselves, maybe in our family life, in our work life, in our spiritual life, or just for some tips of how to practice from this week here together, you can come up and ask the question. A good question can help many people. A good question is not only an individual question, but it's the question that many people are also asking. And a good question doesn't have to be very long. We can take some written questions. So if you feel a bit shy, it's not certain we'll get to all the written questions, but you can write a question and pass it to the bell master, and he'll try to give it to us. Yeah. And it's important to know that just because we are sitting up here as monks and nuns doesn't mean we have any answers. We just share from our personal experience, and we find a way to support one another in our practice. So I'll just start by introducing, just briefly, my brothers and sisters. So on my right it's Sister Hinim, Sister True Dedication. She's coming from the UK. Sister Langnim, Sister Shurangama, the March of Heroes, from also living in Lower Hamlet along with Sister Dedication. And she's from the US originally, I think born in Vietnam, but grew up in the US. I'm Brother Fablu. I'm also from the US. And I live here in Upper Hamlet, down in Shunha. And this is Brother Fabio, Thai Fabio, from Italy, from Verona, I think. Yeah. And so we're happy to sit here and listen and share what comes up for us in response to your question. So we invite first the children to come up, and then the young adults and the adults. So you can come up here and sit near the chair, and we'll invite one person at a time to come up and practice listening to your question and responding to it. And it's wonderful if you can speak in English. It's also wonderful if you speak in French. I think we can manage the translation, but if you speak another language, if you can bring a translator with you, that would be very helpful. So please come up, the children, if you have a question. Yeah. Nous allons commencer avec un son de la cloche, ok? Listen to the bell.
C'est une question pour les moines. Qu'est-ce qui vous a poussé à à devenir moine justement.
Pour les nonnes aussi ou que les moines?
Pour les nonnes aussi.
Merci.
So the question in English is, what to the monks and nuns is, what drove you to become a monk or a nun?
I'll answer this one because one of my reasons had to do with my nieces and nephew who were very much your age at the time. I had met my teacher on a retreat, and I learned so much while attending that retreat. And it was very much like everything that you're learning in this retreat, I learned for the first time in my life when I went to that retreat with Tay. And when I went home, one day I was driving to work, and I saw the blue sky. It was so beautiful. And my family, we were living in Florida at the time. And I don't know if you've ever been to Florida, but Florida is very flat. So you can really see the sky, endless sky. And the blue of the sky, it just stretched from horizon to horizon, from behind to forward. And you can see for a very long time. It was quite a beautiful blue. And then the image of my nieces and nephews came up. My niece was about your age, and my nephew was a little bit younger. And I thought, so I pulled over. I was driving, and then I pulled the car over to the side of the road because a thought came up for me. I thought, if my niece and nephew grew up, when they grow up to be my age, will they ever learn how to enjoy the blue sky as I was able to enjoy the blue sky at that moment? Because I was also young, like my nieces and nephews, and I grew up in America, like my nieces and nephews. But nothing in my school taught me how to really appreciate the blue sky and enjoy the blue sky, or just to simply be happy when I see the blue sky, because it is quite a wonder of life when you look at the blue sky. And after that I went home and I sat with this. How can I help my niece and nephew to get in touch with that kind of way of seeing what was happening inside of them and what was happening around them, how to get in touch with the happiness that was available all around them. And also, more important to me too, was will they be able to grow up and handle their suffering, handle their difficult emotions, for instance. Like when my niece or nephew gets angry, will they know how to take care of this anger? So those thoughts came into my mind, and it led me, and every day that I was living close to my family, I observed how my family was, how my nieces and nephews were, and I saw many different ways that I could help them, and also to help myself too. I also observed what was going on inside of me, and that led me to think, what my teacher taught was very much what I needed and very much what I also wanted to pass on to my niece and nephew, and also for all those that I cared for and I loved all around me. So that was one of the reasons that led me to become a nun. Okay. Thank you for your question.
J'aimerais demander, quand il y a des personnes ou des enfants qui ont des situations dramatiques ou qui ont beaucoup de colère ou de tristesse en eux et qui du coup les évacuent avec de la violence ou avec des méchantes paroles, comment on pourrait essayer d'éviter ces mauvaises ondes tout en restant calme? Qui évacue leur colère. Voilà.
Alors, je vais juste contrôler. So, did you get it? Okay, good.
So the question is, if there are children or other people who have a lot of anger or violence in them because they've also been exposed to anger or unkind speech, how can we be in those situations? How can we respond to help them and not be affected by that zone of energy? Thank you for this beautiful question. As we were listening to the sound of the bell, I also took refuge in the way you were breathing. You were sitting there very peacefully, coming back to your breathing. We had some children running behind us. So I think you know very well how to breathe. So you know how to come back to yourself and generate that energy of calm in you. So that's the first step. And the next step is, how can we help those people who don't yet know how to do that, who are not yet feeling calm? I think the way we look at those people is our first action. Can we look at them still with love? There's a sutra called the Sutra on the 5 Ways of Putting an End to Anger. And that talks a lot about how we look at angry people. So, for example, if their words are not kind, but their actions are kind, then we look at what they're doing. So sometimes our parents, they may have a very sharp tongue, but they're very loving in their actions. They take care of us, they provide us with food, They take us to play with our friends. So we focus on their actions and we see their love in their actions. Or if it's their actions that are unkind but their words are kind, then we focus all our energy on their words. And this helps us look at them with a lot of love and understanding to see their real intention. Does that person really want to be angry? And a lot of the time, the person doesn't want to be angry. They are also a victim of their strong emotion. So, with our eyes, we look at them with a lot of love. And then, as a practitioner, in every situation, we want to see, what could I say or what could I do that would help? And sometimes we have to distract people from their anger. So our teacher used to say that it's always very good to have a cake in the refrigerator or some ice cream in the freezer. Okay. So maybe you can be the one in the family or in your group of friends to distract everyone by saying, I think there's some ice cream in the freezer. And this is one example, but maybe there's 100 kind of things that we could think of to say, like, wouldn't it be a nice day to go swimming? Or, weren't we going to listen to some music together? So we learn very skillful ways to remind people that they don't want to be angry. If we say to them, please breathe, I think you're angry. It may not work. But if they see in our eyes that we don't blame them, and if we have a good idea for something else to do, other than be angry, then that's already a nice way that we can help. Sometimes we can just use our body. We just go close to that person who is angry. And the way we breathe, and maybe we just reach out and we put our hand on their back or their shoulder, or we hold their hand very gently, with no judgment, just, I'm here for you, I know you're hurting. That can really work. You are like you have the superpower of neutralizing their anger with your kindness and your love. Okay, that's some ideas, so you can try them out, and then maybe you can report back to your group if it works at all. Even sometimes on retreat, we may see some strong emotions, so you can try it out already in the next few days. Thank you for your question.
Pourquoi au village des Poniers, on ne mange pas de viande et de produits laitiers?
So the question is why in Plum village we don't eat meat and dairy products. Merci, c'est une très bonne question. Quand on habite ici au village des Pruniers, oh sorry, in English. Non. Il faudra que je réponde en anglais. Du coup, il faudra mettre des écouteurs. Merci. So thank you. This is a very good question, and I want to share that living in Plum Village, we want to develop and we want to allow the little seed of kindness that is inside of our heart to become a plant, like a flower. You know, inside of us there is a seed of kindness, somewhere down there, and sometimes it manifests and we can do something very lovely. We can do something very beautiful. And we know that the seed of kindness is not just for us to love our mom, or our dad, or our older sister, or our younger sister. The seed of kindness is for us to share with everything. You know? Even the trees, even the flowers, sometimes we try to be kind. One time I saw a children that came to the retreat in Plum Village, and the first thing he did is he took a bamboo stick and he hit all the trees. First day of the retreat. Take the bamboo stick and practice bamboo stick exercise on the tree. And the tree, I think, were not very happy about that. But then maybe after 1 week or after 5 days, these children, he calmed down and he did not hit the trees anymore. Because he realized that the tree is his friend too. And so when we eat the meat, we know that the meat is coming from somewhere. We know that the cow is also like us. The cow wants to walk around, and want to eat the grass, and want to look at the clouds, they want to look at the moon sometimes, right? The way we do. The cow also has many friends. The pig also has many friends. And so we want them to live a beautiful life, and that is why we don't eat them. Because if we don't eat them, their life will be very short. And maybe they can live much longer if they're not eaten by anybody. So when we take the food, you know, sometimes the children here in Plum Village, they eat pizza and French fries. Did you have the pizza the other day? Oui? Tu as mangé la pizza l'autre jour? Oui? Okay, heureusement. So when we eat the pizza, we know that in the pizza there is no animal that needs to suffer. So we feel very happy. It's very tasty, it's very nice, but we know that nobody needs to suffer to make that food. And in fact, the monks who make it, where is Brother Fabang and Brother Marek, they're here, they're very happy when they cook, you know. They really enjoy cooking the pizza for the children. And so instead of there being a lot of tears, a lot of suffering, in the pizza there is a lot of happiness and joy. And that is why when we eat the pizza will go inside your body and will touch the little seed of kindness inside, so that the seed of kindness becomes very big and can bloom and become a big flower, like a sunflower. You see the sunflower in the field? Just like that. And sometimes also for the milk is the same thing. You know, we are not perfect. Sometimes the monks eat yogurts. But we try to eat very little and we try to be very moderate. And with our community, we never buy milk or yogurt. And this is because we know that the cow will make the milk to feed her baby. But then, because we want the milk, then we need to take away the baby and feed the baby something else. And then we will take the milk of the cow. But in Plum Village, we feel like actually we try to eat very little dairy products, because we also want the calf, the baby cow, also to be able to drink the milk of his mom, because they'll be much happier like that. Is that clear? You understand? I think it's good enough. So maybe when you go home, also you can try maybe to eat a little bit less, and you can see maybe the little seed of kindness will become much stronger, and you feel much more kind toward everything. C'est bon? Ok. Merci.
Maybe we'll have one more question from the children, and then we'll invite the children to go out and play and ask more questions of the monks and the nuns in the children's program.
En fait, moi, j'ai plein de questions, mais il y en a surtout une que je me pose, c'est pourquoi est-ce que vous avez choisi comme monastère le village des pruniers et pas un autre?
Thank you. So the question is, I have many questions, but actually the one I want to ask is, why did you choose Plum Village over many other monasteries? There's so many monasteries in the world, why do you come to Plum Village?
Dear Thai, dear brothers and sisters, thank you for your question. You hear, you see how silent everyone is right now? That's one reason. It's very beautiful to live in community. And our teacher, he's a great community builder. So he knows a skillful way to take care of us. It's like he's a gardener, and we are all flowers in the garden. And in the garden of our teacher, I think all of the tomatoes, the lettuce, the flowers grow very strong and very tasty, very beautiful. So when people come to play in that garden, they feel very fresh, they feel very at ease. And they want to come back to that garden again and again to enjoy the tomatoes and the flowers. So for me, Plum Village is a kind of place where I have a lot of good conditions to be happy and to be joyful. Are you happy? Do you feel happy here? Yeah? Yeah. And somehow when we are with people who are happy, then we also feel happy. Do you notice? Yeah. So because of this joy that we have being here together, sitting together, that's one big reason why I decided to come to Plum Village. When I met one of my elder brothers, he had been a monk for maybe 15 years when I met him. And I felt right away that joy. I felt the way he smiled, the way he spoke. I felt a kind of joy that comes from inside. And mostly in my life, I try to look for joy and happiness outside. And so I was very curious, where is this, how does he do that? How does he generate joy within himself? And then I noticed, because that made me feel joyful. And I felt like I want to be near him. I want to go to that place. I want to be with that teacher who can train his students how to generate joy inside. Have you ever felt that you could just be joyful without needing anything outside? Yeah? Yeah. So that is a great quality. And many people in the world today, they don't have, or they haven't cultivated that capacity. So for me, living in a community where we can generate joy at the individual level and also as a community is very important. I really want to live in a place where my brothers and sisters know how to turn a moment into a joyful moment. Yeah. And also, I love that here in Plum Village, we are dedicated to serving, to serving others. We open our door and we let all of you come in and practice with us, play with us. That's very precious for me. Not every monastery likes to do that. Sometimes we prefer, and that's very normal, we prefer to have a very quiet place in a forest, away from all the people, where we just sit and we meditate and we breathe, and I can understand that too. Sometimes I feel like that. I would like to find a hut somewhere very far away and just sit in the forest and breathe. So that's another way. But in Plum Village, we instead we open our doors and we let hundreds of people come in, and we cook and we clean and we we have a children's program and we do all those things. And we don't do it because we have to do it. We do it because it gives us joy. It gives us a sense of meaning for our lives. And when I meet people like that, then I feel inspired. I feel like I want to learn from monks and nuns like that. I want to learn from my teacher how to serve in such a way that I can generate joy for myself and generate joy for others. And that's something that is very rare to find, actually. I live in Plum Village all the time, so I'm used to it, but I realize when I go outside, it's quite rare to find, maybe we find one person who's capable of serving in such a way, serving others, that they generate joy. And then maybe we find two people, but to find a whole community like that is very rare. And the third reason is it's very beautiful. Don't you think Plum Village is beautiful? Yeah. You know, our teacher, when he came from Paris back in 1982, he heard that there was land that was very inexpensive, very cheap to buy in the south of France. And the place he had near Paris was too small. Too many people wanted to come. And he came to this property, and he found the walking path that goes around Upper Hamlet, and the oak trees, because the farmer who lived here, he had many grape vines for making wine. And he wanted to protect all of his vines by planting oak trees to create a kind of refuge for the vines. And so when Tai did walking meditation in that forest, right away he knew that this is the place to have a monastery. And today I still I shouldn't say every day, but I practice gratitude towards that farmer for planting these beautiful oak trees all around, because they're not protecting the vines, but they're protecting us. They make this place a refuge. So the third reason that I came to Plum Village is that I was looking for a refuge, for a beautiful place where I can live my life in beauty. So those are 3 reasons, but to be honest, I could come up with about 100 reasons why I'm here in Plum Village, but I think those are 3 pretty good ones, because I learned how to generate joy in myself, how to serve with joy, and how to find a beautiful place to take refuge. Okay? Thank you for your beautiful question. So now we'd like to invite the children to stand up, and we'll bow to our parents, and we'll have a chance to go out and play with the monks and nuns. We can invite the Kun. Please, les enfants, les children, you can stand up. Et nous avons la chance de demander